Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video. Can you believe it's the end of another reading month and time to do another reading wrap up and a March hopeful slash TBR. To be honest, February, despite me reading quite a few books, some of them being like short stories, so I've still read like quite a few. I just didn't really read my TBR, like my physical TBR, so slightly disappointed on that, but hey ho, we move on. That means them books are just saved for another month. So I'm here today to run through what I read in February and what I plan to read in March. Now I am stepping the boat out for March and I'm planning to stick to my TBR. Although I have got some videos where you guys can pick some books, they are going to be from my TBR, rather than deviating and reading books for videos this month. I'm going to focus on reading my physical TBR because I've got a lot of books on there that I want to read at the moment. So that's where we are. We're going to start with the ebooks that I read this month, and if I'm looking down here, by the way, it's because my iPad's here with my ratings that I rated the books, so if I deviate down there, that's why. But I read 4 ebooks this month, all of them short stories, 3 of them from the Improbable Meet Cute series. And if you watched my January reading wrap up and February hopefuls video, then you will know that I was planning to read some of those this month anyway, as the series had come out on Prime Reading, so I did get around to reading some of those. So I read Rosie and the Dreamboat, which I think was by Thorne, if I can remember, and that was 4 stars. I really liked the story. I feel like none of them are quite 5 stars because of them being a short story and obviously like things are rushed in there, but I feel like I could have read a whole book on these characters. So Thorne, if you'd like to bring out a whole book on those 2, I'd love that. And if you haven't read the Improbable Meet Cute series yet, please do. It's so adorable. I've really loved this book and really would like a full book on them. The next one that I read was With Any Luck by Ashley Poston. Now this one was 3 stars. I don't know, I feel like because it was a short story, I just couldn't connect to the characters as much in this one. I don't know why. I feel like because it was kind of, they were like enemies, so I feel like because it was enemies to lovers, I kind of needed a little bit more time to be set on them. But it was still adorable and I still could read a whole story on it, and I think if it was a whole story it would have been like 4 or 5 stars. But I think, yeah, just because it was a short one, that's why it's only 3. I also read Worst Wingman Ever, and that was by, I never know how to say this author's name, please tell me, but is it Abby Jimenez? I don't know how you say it, but the one that wrote Yours Truly, and yeah, you all know who she is anyway. But this story was adorable. Again, please give me a whole book on these characters. I loved it, like loved it so much. It was 4 stars. Again, I feel like it could have been a 5 if it was a whole book, but because it was a short story, it was obviously, everything was a little bit quicker, but yeah, loved it, adored it, would like a whole book, please and thanks, right now. And I also was gifted a short story to read on my Kindle called One Way Ticket to Earth, and this was a really interesting story. Again, super short, super like palette cleanser. And this was 3 stars. Kind of like a reincarnation sort of story, but told in a really interesting way. So I enjoyed that, and thank you so much for gifting me that book. But those were all the ebooks that I read this month. I am reading a couple of arcs as well throughout March, but I'll feed back on them in my March roundup. And then let's get on to the physical books. Now, bit disappointed with my reading, not gonna lie, but hey ho. The first book that I read in the month was Set on You by Amy Lea. I don't know, people say this in weird ways. I would say Amy Lea, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Now the story was good. I only gave this 3 stars. It was okay. The main male character reminded me of someone that I used to date, and it gave me the ick when reading the book, and I I couldn't see past it. I'm sure this would be a great book if that hadn't happened to me, but it gave me the ick big time, and I was like, I can't see past it. I can only picture him when I'm reading this book, and it's making me feel sick. So I feel like maybe if that hadn't happened to me, it could have been more stars, but because of that, it was only 3. Then the next book that I read was The Love Arrangement, as I read a couple of blind dates with a book this month because it was obviously Valentine's Day. So if you haven't watched that video, go and check that one out. But yes, so this is one of the books that I got in a blind date with a book. Now, the blurb of this had so much potential. It was like she needed a fake boyfriend and it had to be her childhood rival or something. So I was like, yes, enemies to lovers, eat this up. Anyway, read it. It wasn't really an enemies to lovers, and I was quite disappointed. So yeah, this ended up only being 2 stars. I just didn't feel like I wanted to pick up the book, and I think it's because it was missing that enemies to lovers aspect. Yeah, I haven't really got much else to say on that one, but it just wasn't giving. I'm sorry. I was missing my enemies to lovers. I got so excited for it. I was like, yes, childhood enemies to lovers, the best. No, didn't happen. The next one that I read was The Intimacy Experiment, and again, this is also 2 stars. I just haven't had a very good February reading month, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I read the first couple of I read the first couple of chapters and was like, odd story. We'll move past it, I'll see if I like it. And yeah, I just stayed at that stage, to be honest, of I'm not quite sure what's going on. I just didn't feel it was believable for these 2 characters to be together, you know, when you're just not feeling the chemistry. So yeah, I'm sorry, but that's where I am. But I did read, before this, I read The Roommate, which is like linked to this one, and I loved that one. It was really good, despite being a bit of a strange story again, but really good. But this one, I wasn't feeling it. Another 2 star. Next one that I read was Here for the Drama. Again, this was also part of the blind date with the book video, and this was 3 stars. I don't know what it is, but I haven't had very good romances. I did like this. It was quite interesting. However, just threw the book halfway across the room. However, towards the end, I was kind of like, I'm ready for it to wrap up now. I don't really know why this didn't click with me. Like, the story was really cute, it had a dog in, we love a dog, but I don't know what it was. It just didn't necessarily click that much with me. Like, it was a good book, but it wasn't like outstanding, which is why it's 3 stars. So yeah, but I feel like this would be like really someone's 5-star read, just not mine, if that makes sense. I really feel like someone would give this like a 5-star or at least a 4.5, but for me it just wasn't giving that, to be honest. I read Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home, and now I am broken. I am a broken soul. I have not stopped thinking about this book since I finished it, and I have no words for Jessa Hastings other than the fact of, you broke my heart at the end. How dare you do that to me? I knew this ending was going to happen, and it didn't make it any better. It still made it sad. I still cried my eyes out. If you want to see me reading this, I have a vlog up about it from my weekend vlog last weekend. I just have no words again for this book. It was incredible. It was a masterpiece, and it was a 5-star. It was phenomenal. Jessa Hastings' writing never misses. Can't even remember one of the quotes now, but my god, her writing is so beautiful. Forget the plot line, just read it for Jessa's writing. But honestly, I loved this book, and this is now in my top 10 forever favourite books. Honestly, amazing. No words about the ending because devastated, can't talk about it, still not over it. But I'm now very excited to read Daisy Hates the Great Undoing because I need to know what is going on with Julian and Daisy. Please tell me what is going on there because there's hints and you don't know anything. So that's where I'm at. I have started another book, so today is actually the 29th of February, so really I've got to the end of the day to finish my reading wrap up. But I have actually started Love Redesigned and I'm literally like only a bit of the way through. I think I'm on page like 70 something. I don't even know how many pages are in this. 500 and something pages in here. So I'm probably not going to finish this by the end of the day, but I wanted to let you know that I had started this in February, as this was also part of my February TBR. So I had started it. I'm now going to go through my March hopefuls. Aren't I feeling optimistic for March? But here we are. So quite a few books, however I'm going to start with one in particular that was not in that pile that I picked up, but an author, Kelly Jeanne Salve, is that how you say that, has kindly gifted me her book to read, physical copy, we love. This arrived the other day, so I am going to read it in March and give her my thoughts and stuff, so very excited to read this. It's kind of like a dating show romance thing, so yeah, excited for this, and I'm going to read it very soon, and I will obviously share my thoughts on my social media channels too if you want to go and check that out. But this might appear in a reading vlog soon anyway. So the next book, or one of the books that I want to read in March, is Better Than the Movies. Oh my god, the amount of time someone has told me to read this freaking book is unbelievable. So I'm finally doing it, so you better all be happy with me. Thank you very much. I'm also sick of having FOMO about, like, apparently this book is amazing, so I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna make you all happy and I'm gonna read it. I better like this now, otherwise what a waste. But yeah, I don't actually know anything about it. I'm gonna go in blind. I know it's a YA, that's about it, and I'm assuming there's hints to movies and stuff in here, like romance movies, so that is the gist I'm getting from the book. But lots of people love this and I'm assuming it's adorable, so I am excited to read it and give you my thoughts on it. And I am taking this on holiday with me next week. One of my best friends has been asking me to read this book for the past couple of weeks because she's now read the whole series and I've got FOMO, and if I don't read it soon I think she might kill me. So I shall be reading ACOTAR, A Court of Thorne and Roses. I have only got book one. Don't come for me, but I'm trying to not be ridiculous with my purchases and purchase a whole series before I have read the first book. But I'm sure I'm going to like it, and I'm sure I'm going to read the other ones because everybody else does. So yeah, I'm finally going to read A Court of Thorne and Roses. Again, I'm taking this on holiday with me. I'm probably going to make this my priority #1 to read first, because I told my friend I would read it next week, so I've got to. Then the next one, if I don't read this soon, I'm going to die because I'm going to combust because I want to read it immediately. I wanted to read it as soon as I bought it the other day and I was like, no, you've got a February TBR. Stick to your TBR. So that book is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now again, I only have the first one in the series, not through choice because Waterstones only had this one and this was the last one on the shelf. Otherwise I would have bought the whole series because I know I'm going to like this. It's like Criminal Minds in a book, I've been told. I love Criminal Minds. I love like thrillery, case, mystery things, books, shows, podcasts, the lot. So I'm sure I'm going to love this book and I'm so excited to read it, and even more excited because it's so short. I'm probably going to read this in like a day or two. The next one I'm also so excited about. I've seen like it trending on like BookTok and Bookstagram, and kind of like didn't really know much about it, just knew that people were liking it. Anyway, I watched a reading vlog the other week. I can't remember who was reading it. It might have been Carla Espinosa, but I can't really remember. Anyway, she said about what the book is about and I thought the concept was hilarious. So that is Butcher and Blackbird, and I'm going to read that this month because I was like, the concept sounds so funny. They're like serial killers who murder serial killers, bit like Dexter style. But I think it's a romance or something, like they Do they fall in love? I think so. Or at least become friends or whatever. So I just think that concept is so funny, like, to me. I don't know whether that says something about my personality or something, but anyway, please, if you're a therapist, please don't look too much into that. But yeah, how funny does that sound? So I'm gonna read that because, again, I have FOMO that other people have read it and loved it, but I just want to read that concept of a book. I think I'm actually going to laugh out loud when I read this. Following on in the thriller, crime, mystery theme, I want to read One of the Girls. Now, this has been on my bookshelf for a while, I think since last year, and I moved it onto my book cart, and ever since then I've been looking literally just at the spine of it thinking, I want to read you, I want to read you now. So yeah, I'm going to read it eventually this month. And again, I know I've like picked out quite a lot of books for March, but I think because they're like crime, mystery, thrillery type books, I think I might get through them quite fast, because I feel like when you have that sort of book, you want to know what's going on, you want to get to the end, whereas I feel like romances, although they can be quite quick paced sometimes, it's more like they're gonna get together. I don't need to anticipate the ending, so it's kind of like, yeah. Whereas these books, you're like, I need to know what's going on. I also like to know if my theories are right, because we have a little theory going on. So I'm finally going to read this book. The last book on my March TBR is going to rip my heart out of my chest, and I'm never going to be the same, but that's going to be okay, because that book is Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. Now, I know I've just mentioned that I haven't read Daisy H yet, but I'm going to very soon, so it's just not on my March TBR because I was meant to read it in February. But anyway, Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, at the end of Magnolia Park's Long Way Home, ripped my heart out, as I've just mentioned. So obviously this is going to pick up where that's left off, because Daisy Hates kind of is the same timeline as Magnolia Park's Long Way Home, so but you obviously from a different perspective, whereas then this picks up from the end of Magnolia Park's Long Way Home. So I'm going to be heartbroken and heart shattered and a shell of my once former self. Magnolia and BJ broke my heart in The Long Way Home, and I just think they've worked so much on themselves. They're not real people, I have to remind myself that. They are book characters, but they feel real. I think that's just Jessa's writing, and I think because it's written from like, you're almost like in their head, if that makes sense. Like, they go off on tangents and stuff like you would in your own head, so I think that it feels more real. So when I read this, I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with life afterwards. I don't know anything about it, nor do I want to. I'm gonna just go in blind, read it, see how I feel, probably upset. And I know people have been absolutely bawling their eyes out of this book, and that's probably going to be me. Anyway, those are all the books that I want to read in March, and all the books that I read in February. Now, like I said, in March I am really going to stick to my TBR, because I haven't really got any, like, what is the word? I haven't really got any videos planned where I have to deviate from that. I do have like obviously reading vlogs planned, but I can still stick to my TBR within those, so that's where we're at with that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you read any of those books in February or are planning to read any of them in March, or just let me know what you are planning to read, as I'm nosy and I might want to add it to my April TBR. I'm sure I'll be back very soon. Actually, in fact, I know I'll be back very soon with another video. But until then, I hope you only have 4 and 5 star reads, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!